of course, law enforcement officials, including Metro Police and members of the South African Police, have already arrived at the Mary Fitzgerald Square in Johannesburg. That's all ahead of the national strike by workers from unions affiliated to Trade Union Federation COSATU. The federation has asked its members to either join the national action or stay away from work today. Our reporter Malungelo Booi is covering the Gauteng leg of the industrial action. Nkosikhona Duma is in Pietermaritzburg and Nasiphi Same is in Cape Town. Let's get straight moving to Johannesburg, where Malungelo Booi is covering the leg of that strike action. Stay away. Malungelo, very good morning to you. The COSATU members, of course, and South Africa at large has some options here. They can either participate in the strike or stay away from work. What's happening on the ground as we take a look at the Johannesburg leg of this national stay away?
That's right, Impo, as you rightfully pointed out, already here at the Mary Fitzgerald Square in Newtown, what we're seeing law enforcement officials, we're seeing members of the South African Police Service, including JMPD, already here ahead of that national strike, or stay away if you want to call it. I just saw few members, really, I think it's members or the leaders, rather, of those that will be taking part in this strike today here in Gauteng. So here's what's going to happen. We're expecting members of COSATU to begin really to arrive here at around 10 o'clock. They will then proceed to two locations here in Johannesburg. One of those locations, is actually the Premier's office here in Gauteng, and also the Mineral Council of South Africa, as you rightfully pointed out. The Union Federation calling all its members today to either take part in this strike or join this action nationwide or simply stay away. They're saying that part of really what they want for government is to fix what they call, quote, economic mess that is currently taking place in this country, but also they're saying that they want companies really to look seriously or to deal seriously with the issues that are currently affecting workers in workspaces, be in the public place or in the private sector. But we know, though, there's never been love lost between government and COSATU. In fact, we know that COSATU members over the past few months, in fact, have also marched to the office of the finance minister. One of the things that they were complaining about were austerity measures, which they were saying were hurting the working class in this country. But also, we know that the public sector has actually not been, the workers in the public sector have actually been quite upset with government over that pay hike freeze. And we know government has long been complaining about the high wage bill in the sector. But what the unions have essentially been saying that, that these austerity measures that government is introducing have actually been hurting the working class in this country. And we know, over the past few weeks or few months in this country, we know, though, the impact of COVID-19 that has had not only in workers in the private sector, but we also know, though, it has had a negative impact on workers in the public sector. So workers will today actually be marching to various points, demanding that government, including the private sector, deal with issues that are currently affecting them.
Absolutely. And of course, senior Newzroom Afrika reporter Malungelo Booi covering the Johannesburg leg of this nationwide strike. Let's now take you to Pietermaritzburg, where Nkosikhona Duma is stationed. Nkosikhona, the economic mess is essentially central to this stay away and march that's taking place. What's happening on the ground in Pietermaritzburg?
Well, good morning, Paul. I will tell you that here in Pietermaritzburg, it's still relatively quiet in regards to the COSATU strike. It is business as usual. We are seeing just taxis and people making their way to work. They're walking up the streets, but this is the corner of Langelibalele and Boshoff streets in Pietermaritzburg. This is where the COSATU strike is expected to end. It's supposed to start at a park just at about 10 this morning at a park not very far from here, and members of COSATU are expected, of course, to make their way to the Department of Labour offices just through the streets here. And of course, one of the big issues, as you rightly point out, is what they call an economic mess. All these budget cuts that businesses in the private sector as well as in the public sector, as well as public sector institutions rather, have implemented. We know, for example, one of the big issues here in KwaZulu-Natal is, the impasse in regards to the budgets of the Department of Education, with Treasury, National Treasury. We are told by the Department of Education KwaZulu-Natal contemplating some budget cuts in the department, saying that it may lose, thousands of staff following, if those budget cuts are really implemented and they go through. The Premier of KwaZulu-Natal has, of course, said in the meantime that there's a moratorium on all retrenchments, whilst they are still trying to engage with national government over that particular issue. Another big issue, of course, that COSATU is complaining about, particularly here in KwaZulu-Natal, the voices we've heard, at least, they're complaining about tax evasions. They're saying that many private entities are being, sponsored, so to speak, by government without, having to show anything. They're complaining that many businesses are simply retrenching workers without, facing the right consequences for that. And they are calling on both, state institutions, government, and the public sector to reverse the tide, to so to speak, prioritize the interest of workers rather than look at the bottom line, which is profitability and what they call liquidity.
Very well, Nkosikhona, let's leave it there for now. We'll catch up with you throughout the course of this morning. Let's take you to Cape Town now, where Nasiphi Same is stationed. Nasiphi, lots of complaints, a lot of unhappiness as the COSATU's national stay-away gets underway. What's happening on the ground in Cape Town?
Well, as you can see behind me, workers, municipal workers rather, have arrived at the meeting point for the stay-away march with the COSATU. We have seen a number of unions here, including SAMU and others, that will be marching all the way to the Civic Centre to hand over a memorandum, obviously with some of their grievances. And COSATU has called on members to partake in this march, and also for those who cannot make it to rather stay away and stay at home, obviously in solidarity with the ones that will be marching. But I am joined by Mervyn de Bruin here from COSATU in the Western Cape. Mervyn, talk to us about the key points in your memorandum that you will be submitting to the City of Cape Town Mayor.
COSATU today is here in Cape Town to bring a message to government, to bring a message to the City of Cape Town, because we are unhappy about what's happening currently in what's happening. Can we stop now? I've stopped now. Oh. COSATU Western Cape is here today to tell the City of Cape Town that we are unhappy, we are angry. We are also delivering a memorandum to national government in all other provinces. And the key issues on our memorandum is a question of job creation, is a question of corruption that must be dealt with. And we are saying to COSATU, enough is enough. And we can't keep arms folded while these things are happening. So we are saying today to the city that we are coming to you. We talk about the question of the abuse of EPWPs. We are talking about the abuse of those labor brokers. COSATU are saying that ban all the labor brokers and employ all those workers that are currently working for under the EPWP, because there's a need for them to be employed full-time within the city. We are also saying to the city that they must resolve the issue of the firefighter that was just bust. And we're also saying to the city that they must not apply for an exemption, because there's an agreement reached at the Barley Council level that they will give an increase. And now they want to apply for exemption, and we will oppose it.
Mervyn, how effective is the strike? I mean, last year you had the same stay away, but how effective is it in regards to some of your grievances that last year you handed over to the City of Cape Town and government?
Yeah, but we can say there's a total reluctance of a total rejection of our demand by the City of Cape Town, and workers must see today and must tell the city that if they don't come to the party this time around, we will go for bigger action against the City of Cape Town.
Mervyn, we are still in the middle of a pandemic, level 1. How are you going to ensure that the people that are here and that do want to come are observing the lockdown regulations and the health protocols?
Yeah, what we will do, that's why we only applied for the prescribed numbers as outlined in the regulations. But what we will do, we will engage now with the workers before we move from here, that they must have the social distance, that they must wear the mask, and they must sanitize as they move along the road.
Thank you so much. That is Mervyn de Bruin, the Secretary of COSATU here in the Western Cape, outlining some of their issues regarding, or rather the municipal workers' issues, the firefighters, labor brokers, and as you mentioned that, the workers are saying that enough is enough, and they are looking at the city to actually take them seriously, as we do know that the stay away is an annual one, and he is saying that last year's annual stay away and the protest to the City of Cape Town was not really looked into in regards to some of their grievances that they submitted, but they are remaining hopeful that this time around something will be done. They will also be joined by their president, Zingiswa Losi, at around 10 o'clock, just before they move to the City of Cape Town to hand over that very important memorandum of grievances with these workers, and have also said that they will be observing those health protocols as we are still in the middle of a pandemic in level 1.
Absolutely. Let's leave it there for now. Nasiphi Same out in Cape Town ahead of the nationwide strike today by Trade Union Federation COSATU. Lots of excited participants out in Cape Town. Malungelo Booi, Nkosikhona Duma, all keeping a very close eye on this nationwide stay away that we will continue to track throughout the course of this morning.